Good morning. I'm going to give you a break from PowerPoint. If it goes well, it was a good call. If it was a disaster, I apologize in advance. So good morning. My name is Sean Sellers. I'm the volunteer chair of the Sarasota Climate Justice Coalition. And I'm going to discuss our work to promote 100% renewable energy in Sarasota. By way of background, the Climate Justice Coalition formed in early 2017 when local groups already active on climate issues decided to come together to coordinate on a more formal basis. Today, there are nearly 20 organizational members from student, faith, and community sectors in Sarasota and Manatee counties. We have no paid staff or budget. Last March, the coalition decided to take on the Sierra Club's national Ready for 100 campaign as its first major initiative. Ready for 100 is one expression of a global movement to convert to 100% renewable energy as quickly as possible and at least by 2050 in the hopes of averting catastrophic climate change. The campaign is based on the simple reality that cleaner, cheaper, and healthier energy is already available and that it's time for cities across the U.S. to commit to this higher standard. The coordinated local focus of the effort struck us as particularly strategic given the political resistance to climate initiatives at the federal and in Florida state level. What's more, the campaign had already demonstrated its ability to gain traction on the ground. In fact, we learned of Ready for 100 when our neighbors to the north, St. Petersburg, made a 100% commitment in November of 2016. Today, 50 cities across the U.S., large and small, have passed resolutions formally committing themselves to 100% targets with specific timelines. Several cities have already achieved this goal. The breakdown of this list, which continues to grow by the week, demonstrates the ability of renewable energy to transcend political division. 100% commitments have been made by perhaps unlikely supporters, including major Sunbelt metros, Atlanta, Orlando, and Salt Lake City, as well as small red state cities, Georgetown, Texas, Abita Springs, Louisiana, and Greenburgh, Kansas. Of course, there's support from Portland and cities in the north of California, San Jose, San Francisco, as well as Santa Barbara and San Diego in the south. And you can throw in your Aspen, Colorados, and Burlington, Vermonts as well. But each of these communities recognizes the multiple benefits they stand to gain by going 100% renewable. Back in Sarasota, our campaign began in earnest in April. In the span of 2 months, we gathered over 2,000 petition signatures and 40 business and organizational endorsements. We met several times with the city's sustainability manager, Stevie Freeman Montez, who you heard from earlier this morning, and we lobbied our city commissioners. On June 5th, we made our public case at the City Commission meeting with approximately 75 supporters wearing bright yellow in attendance. At the next commission meeting, on June 19th, the Sarasota Ready for 100 resolution was adopted on a 5-0 unanimous vote. So what commitment did we secure from the city? And more importantly, what is the strategy for implementation? Without such a roadmap to guide sustained community and city government action, this is little more than hollow words. This victory will be hollow, simply empty words on paper. So the resolution itself establishes 2 timelines. The first is a 100% renewable energy commitment for municipal operations by 2030. So you can think of this as the power consumed by the City of Sarasota government itself and its ancillary services. The second target is a 100% renewable energy timeline for everything and everyone else in the City of Sarasota by 2045. This last target was informed by the fact that the City of Sarasota signed a 30-year franchise lease agreement with Florida Power and Light in 2010. That agreement is set to expire in 2040 and profoundly shapes the context in which we find ourselves. A 100% transition is a massive undertaking. FPL's current power mix mirrors that found across the state of Florida, and approximately less than 1% of our power currently comes from solar. And while FPL and other investor-owned utilities have committed to building more solar farms, the reality is it's not happening quickly enough. Meanwhile, they're increasing their reliance on fracked natural gas, the extraction and transport of which is linked to a host of controversies and problems, including climate change causing methane leaks. Given all of this, we must be clear with ourselves about 3 interrelated facts. First, there are entrenched financial interests with high-level political support that very likely oppose our goals, or at least our timelines. Second, grassroots organizing, just as much as technological innovation, will determine whether we succeed or fail. And third, we have a tremendous amount of work to do. In terms of the principles that guide this work, we favor introducing both democracy and equity into the energy system. Both are sorely lacking now. Democracy in this case means that decisions about energy should be made by the users of energies, not in remote corporate boardrooms or backroom deals in the state capitol. This vision requires decentralization and community control. State policy blocking microgrids, community solar programs, and community choice aggregation must be discarded, to cite just a few examples. As for equity, simply put, when we say solar for all, we actually mean for all. Low and moderate income families have been disproportionately cost burdened by our current fossil fuel energy system for decades. They must be first in line to benefit from energy efficiency improvements, renewable energy ownership, and related employment opportunities. This is a simple matter of practicality if the goal is universal coverage. Moreover, this begins to illustrate the dividends a transition to community-based renewable energy may pay for social and economic justice. On a concrete level, our work is proceeding on several fronts, since no one silver bullet is sufficient to the task at hand. First, we're fully supporting a public engagement planning process led by the City of Sarasota's Sustainability Office. This process will be open to all and will identify project and policy pathways evaluated and prioritized through criteria, resulting in a set of recommendations for adoption by the City Commission. This will be a critical moment for community-wide mobilization to demonstrate strong support for the proposed measures. We will also need to ensure that proper funding mechanisms are established to ensure full implementation of the report's recommendations. In the interim, while the roadmap process with the city plays out, we're engaged in a number of grassroots activities. To start, plans are in the work for another solar co-op in Sarasota. As you've heard, the last co-op was wildly successful, allowing 71 households to install new solar capacity and to secure bulk purchasing power for deep discounts on those installed solar panels. Sarasota is now the second highest state in the county, second highest in the state in terms of total kilowatts installed at 691, as you heard. In January, Manatee County will launch a solar co-op, and we're, as I said, making plans for another this spring. We're also engaging in a planning process around the Bayfront 2020 redevelopment, and we hope to shape that project to be net zero. This is a high-profile opportunity to demonstrate to the community the viability of renewable energy and its compatibility with high aesthetic design standards. There is a slew of other public projects we're tracking as well, from the St. Armand's parking garage to the Marion Anderson Brownfield redevelopment to Sarasota Housing Authority's portfolio. Our community education work continues apace as well. We've developed presentations of varying lengths and are taking the show on the road, so to speak. So if you belong to an organization, workplace, neighborhood association, or congregation that would like to host a Ready for 100 campaign presentation, please let us know and we'd be more than happy to come share with you. And while there are a few other strands of work and development, the last I'll mention today is our effort to support Ready for 100 initiatives in nearby communities. We've been in touch with residents in Venice, Northport, and Bradenton, and will continue to support those efforts as much as possible. Ultimately, it is critical that we leverage broad collective action if we wish to secure cooperation from FPL and/or more favorable state-level policy. I'd like to close with a quick thought experiment inspired by a recent development. As you may have heard, the Barancic Foundation made a sizable grant to local nonprofit Girls Inc. last month for energy efficiency improvements, renewable energy installation, and related curriculum development. The cost savings this will provide Girls Inc. are significant over the long term, as are the related educational opportunities for the girls. What if, in Sarasota, we were able to create an ecosystem of organizations and institutions, both public and private, aligned in the pursuit of decentralized, community-controlled renewable energy for all, and green family wage jobs as the backbone of a diversified, inclusive 21st century economy? This would require assembling a coalition of the willing, if you'll forgive me, from neighborhoods, community groups, schools, places of worship, nonprofits, foundations, local governments, community development corporations, and our anchor institutions, including the museums, colleges, hospitals, and airport. The separate threads of this conversation are already taking place around climate, around inequality, around resiliency, and around workforce development, but they have yet to be brought together into a cohesive whole. Ready for 100 provides us with that framework if we can manage to move together. That's the challenge before us. So I want to again thank the event organizers for the opportunity to present. I'd like to thank my co-panelists for their comments and work as well. We have a table in the back, and my co-organizer, Lynn Nielsen, will be at it as well, and we'd love to involve you in this movement. So please find us during the break. Thank you.